US is making a big mistake for their own consumers.
US called India a tariff king. But now the tariff king in the world is the United States, because our average tariff is about 15.98%. The US tariff today is 18.4%.
Do you think he will de-hyphenate India-Pakistan?
It's a strategic mistake on the part of the US that you are getting in bed with Pakistan, which is in bed with China, and China is the US's strategic competitor. It's the biggest geopolitical rival to the United States. We have to look at US's relationship with Pakistan in a different lens from the US's relationship with India. I think the relationship with Pakistan right now is a very tactical one and is a short-term one, primarily motivated by the financial gain that the Trump family and the Witkoff family hopes to make.
The Munir is in US. He was in US actually 2 days back, and there was a black tie event where he threatened the world. He said, if we go down, we will take the half of the world down. Also, he threatened that we are going to attack India.
Pakistan is rattled by our abrogation or putting in suspension the Indus Water Stream. But secondly, I think what he always tries to stoke is the fear of a nuclear war between India and Pakistan.
But Prime Minister Modi has already said that there will be no nuclear blackmail will be tolerated.
Absolutely.
Vikasji, thank you so much for sparing time out of your busy schedule. I am straight away coming to the point on tariff issue. This issue is haunting India. This issue has become a big diplomatic row between the two countries. Where do you see it going?
See, we have to understand why these tariffs have been imposed. I personally feel that there are 3 reasons. One, Trump is not happy with India. He is not happy with India because we are a member of BRICS. And somehow in his head, he has got this notion that BRICS is an anti-America alliance, which is hell-bent on creating an alternative currency to the dollar. So because of that, he feels that India should not be a member of the BRICS, number one. Number 2 is, of course, Operation Sindoor and his so-called role in bringing about the ceasefire. Now, we have been saying right from the beginning that Trump had no role because we do not accept external mediation. This ceasefire was mediated directly between the DGMOs of Pakistan and India at the request of the DGMO of Pakistan. Trump has now said almost 30 times that it was he who got the two countries to step back from the brink, who stopped the nuclear conflagration in the subcontinent. So obviously, he is miffed that India has not acknowledged his role, whereas Pakistan has not only acknowledged his role, but has even nominated him for a Nobel Peace Prize. So that's the second reason. And the third is, this is part of his pressure tactics to get India to sign on the dotted line on the maximalist demands that the US is making with regard to access to our dairy and agriculture and GM crops. We have not caved in. And it is also in a way a signal to Russia, because he is also frustrated that he has not been able to get President Putin to agree to the ceasefire that Zelensky has agreed to. Of course, now they are meeting in Alaska on the 15th of August.
But will that ease some pressure?
If there is a positive outcome of the Alaska talks, then I'm 100% sure that the Russia sanctions will be off the table, because obviously Putin is not going to accept a ceasefire and yet be saddled with the economic.
No, but will it ease off any pressure on India also?
Yes, so if those 25% tariffs go away, if our base rate tariff remains 25, then it provides much more headroom for our negotiators to engage with the US counterparts, especially when they meet on the 25th of August, and see whether we can sweeten the deal to a certain extent.
But you said that he's a tough taskmaster, this Trump, we know, and he's adamant, do you think? And so where will be the
Middle path, because India cannot cave in, as you said,
Correct.
on the agriculture and dairy. So where is it heading? कहाँ जा रहा है?
नहीं, ये देखिए, इसमें सवाल ये है कि हम कहाँ तक जा सकते हैं और ट्रंप कितना प्रेशर लगा सकता है। दोनों चीज़ें हमें देखनी है। तो हमारा जो रुख है बहुत स्पष्ट है। हम यूएस के साथ एक अच्छी ट्रेड डील चाहते हैं, लेकिन एक ऐसी ट्रेड डील चाहते हैं जो दोनों देशों के हित में हो। अगर ये सिर्फ अमेरिका के हित में है तो फिर ऐसी ट्रेड डील से हमें कोई वास्ता नहीं है। तो अब हम देखेंगे कि हम उनको किन क्षेत्रों में कितना कैलिब्रेटेड एक्सेस दे सकते हैं। और अमेरिका को भी समझना चाहिए कि जो हमारी रेड लाइंस हैं, जो हमारी लक्ष्मण रेखाएं हैं, उनके पार हम नहीं जा सकते हैं। जो डेयरी आपने कहा, एग्रीकल्चर कहा, हमारे देश का 45% जो वर्क फोर्स है वो इन सेक्टर्स में लगा हुआ है। तो उसमें अगर हमने अमेरिका के कॉरपोरेशंस को खुली छूट दे दी तो उससे हमारे जो मार्जिनल फार्मर्स हैं, जो उनके ऊपर सोचिए कितना बड़ा प्रभाव पड़ेगा।
How do you look at the political and diplomatic handling of this issue?
So I think, on the Operation Sindoor credit part, probably we could have finished it better, in the sense कि we could have discounted Trump's role, not dismissed it altogether. अगर हम ऐसा
But
करते,
if there is no role,
फॉर इंस्टेंस नहीं, हम ये कह सकते थे कि ट्रंप का रोल इतना था कि उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को परसुएट किया कि ये वॉर आप जंग भारत के साथ आप जीत नहीं सकते हैं, यू कैन नॉट विन दिस वॉर अगेंस्ट इंडिया, सो इट्स बेटर दैट यू कॉल इट ऑफ. And Indians have already told us that if you stop, they will stop, because India had made it clear from day one that our own objective was to avenge what happened on the 22nd of April in Pahalgam, and we struck the terrorist camps. And if Pakistan had not responded, then that would have been the end of the matter.
because a lot of commentators are saying that this is a frustration of noble frustration of Trump, and some are saying that he's just a bully and he's just trying to bully. So how do you characterize him?
Look, Trump is a deal maker, and he has now made it his USP that he is the peacemaker, that he is the one who's bringing about. Look at the number of conflict situations that he has mediated in now, whether it is Thailand and Cambodia, whether it is Rwanda and Democratic Republic of Congo, whether it is Armenia and Azerbaijan. He has injected himself into each of these, and of course he feels that the biggest one of these was the India-Pakistan one, because these two are nuclear powers. So from that point of view, Trump feels that he deserves credit. And Obama is the only American president to have got the Nobel Peace Prize. And Trump really wants to do one better than Obama. And that's why I think he has made no secret of his longing for that Nobel Peace Prize. And he is hoping that if he could not get it for these, if he is able to bring about a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine, then that might be his ticket to the Nobel Peace Prize.
Sir, our opposition is now gunning for the department which you used to work for. It's the Ministry of External Affairs. They say that diplomacy has totally collapsed in this case. How do you look at it?
Look, at the end of the day, ambassadors and diplomats are only implementers of foreign policy. They do not frame policy. And here I would not blame our diplomats at all. I think what has happened is Pakistan, through some intermediaries, has gotten the ear of the President of the United States. And that is why 2 visits by Asim Munir to Washington, the so-called deal with America on so-called oil reserves of Pakistan. And more importantly, I think Pakistan is now trying to position itself as the crypto king of South Asia, and there through World Liberty Financial, in which Trump's family has stake, Steve Witkoff's family has a stake. Through that, I think Pakistan has managed to project an image of itself as a reliable partner. They handed over a terrorist who was responsible for the Kabul bombings. So all these things have led to Trump having a softer approach towards Pakistan. But that does not mean that, he has given up on India, or that India is now an adversary for him. I think, as I mentioned very early on, this is part of his pressure tactics, to secure a more favorable deal. India should not cave in, because our strategic autonomy is non-negotiable.
So, sir, do you think he will de-hyphenate India-Pakistan? Right now, though, he has totally not even hyphenated. In fact, he has sidelined India, and he's seen much close to Pakistan now.
I don't think, we have to look at US's relationship with Pakistan in a different lens from the US's relationship with India. I think the relationship with Pakistan right now is a very tactical one, and is a short-term one, primarily motivated by the financial gain that the Trump family and the Witkoff family hopes to make from the cryptocurrency assets in Pakistan. With India, I think the relationship is much more strategic. It is not so transactional as it is with Pakistan. And that is why I personally feel that this is a passing phase. I call it a storm, not a rupture. And storms, as you know, you just have to wait out the storm. All storms eventually pass.
But singling out India, like highest tariff in the world, I believe.
Yes, highest together with Brazil.
But why only India singled out on the subtext that India is buying from Russia? Even the US is buying from Russia,
Correct.
China is buying from Russia, but no additional tariffs.
No, so that is the
no secondary tariffs.
You're absolutely right, Naveen, and that is the hypocrisy we need to call out. Last year, in 2024, Europe, had massive deals with Russia, for which they paid $70.3 billion to Russia. India paid $72 billion for the oil, and European Union paid 70.3. America itself purchased $3.8 billion worth of products from Russia.
Big hypocrisy.
So, and then let's not forget, the biggest buyer of Russian oil is China. No sanctions on China. Another big buyer of Russian oil is Turkey. No sanctions on Turkey. So because I think he right now wants to put pressure on Russia, and that's why he has singled out India. And also the fact that we have not caved into the US pressure on their maximalist demands on access in dairy and agriculture.
Mr. Modi did a right thing by not caving in.
Oh, absolutely. Because if you cave in to a bully, then the bully will increase his demands, and then there will be even more demands on you. So I think we have done the right thing. And plus, you see, India is too large, too proud a country to become a camp follower of any other country. You know, our strategic autonomy has been the bedrock of our foreign policy right from the 1950s. And I don't think any government in Delhi can compromise on that.
So, sir, now Russia talks are around the corner, Russia-US talks. In case they resolve it, so you think that 25% additional secondary will definitely go?
I'm very, very confident that the secondary tariffs will go, because Putin will not accept a deal unless the sanctions are also off the table.
Sir, another strategic calculation which is emerging out of all this is US coming close to Pakistan, but Pakistan is already so close to China,
Absolutely.
which is working in the same territory, same area. So how it will pan out? It looks very complicated. Like it has become a jigsaw puzzle now.
No, it's not a jigsaw puzzle. I think it's a strategic mistake on the part of the US that, you know, you are getting in bed with Pakistan, which is in bed with China. And China is the US's strategic competitor. It's the biggest geopolitical rival to the United States. And so far, Trump has taken a very soft approach towards China. You know, now they are even allowing chips to be sold to China. Advanced chips will be sold to China, provided the companies pay 15%, of their earnings to the United States.
So do you, sir, you have been a very, very, distinguished career of diplomacy. Do you think even US is making a big mistake for their own consumers? Because ultimately it will transfer to consumers. Things
Oh,
will get
absolutely.
expensive.
I think eventually the tariffs that are being imposed, and look, US called India a tariff king, but now the tariff king in the world is the United States, because our average tariff is about 15.98%. The US tariff today is 18.4%. So it is now the tariff king of the world. But the fact is, tariffs are bringing in money. You know, they'll bring in about $100 billion a year for the United States. But the issue is, eventually, who will pay for these tariffs? These tariffs will be paid for by American consumers. So what's going to happen is, this is going to ratchet up inflation in America. It's going to ratchet up prices in America. And I think that's when the chickens will come home to roost.
Now I will be diverting to a little other issue. Mr. Munir is in US. He was in US actually 2 days back, and there was a black tie event where he threatened the world. He said, if we go down, we will take the half of the world down. Also, he threatened that we are going to attack India. What is reported? I am not privy to that video, but what is reported widely, I am telling you that. So, sudden acceleration from Pakistan. How do you look at it?
So there are two things. One is, Pakistan is rattled by our abrogation or putting in suspension the Indus Waters Treaty, because, you know, Pakistan is heavily dependent on the waters of those rivers. And because now India has said that, you know, blood and water cannot flow together, and we are putting this treaty in suspension till such time as Pakistan, you know, changes its position on cross-border terrorism. So because of that, Pakistan is obviously rattled. And what he is threatening is that if India builds a dam, which is of course not happening immediately, we are going to destroy those dams. We are going to send our missiles and take out those dams, which is easier said than done, of course. That's a different matter. But secondly, I think what he always tries to stoke is the fear of a nuclear war between India and Pakistan. Because see, Pakistan always want external mediation. They are saying India is not talking to us, so please help us talk to India. Please come and counsel restraint on us. And they are deliberately, you know, provoking this kind of a, you know, nuclear blackmail, just so that they can catch the attention of the world, and the world says, look, India and Pakistan, both of you are nuclear powers, you have to talk to each other. So I think this is part of the nuclear blackmail that Pakistan always indulges in, and that's why India has rightly called out the saber rattling on the part of Pakistan, that how irresponsible it is coming from a country which is in possession of nuclear.
But Prime Minister Modi has already said that there will be no nuclear blackmail will be tolerated now.
Absolutely. We will definitely not tolerate nuclear blackmail, and that's why, you know, Operation Sindoor is on pause. It is not stopped.
So now what next, sir? Pakistan, India, do you see it going further now?
Let's take first India, US. I think we need to do three things. First, we must make it very clear to the United States that our strategic autonomy cannot be bargained. India's strategic choices cannot be dictated by Washington. India will decide what its strategic choices are, whether we need to buy oil from Russia or from the United States. It is our sovereign decision. No external party can have a role in that, number one. Number two, I think what we need to do is, we need to, continue to engage with the United States on trade without capitulation. which means we clearly tell them that these are our red lines which we cannot cross, but we will see what are the other sectors in which we can sweeten the deal. Because let's not forget, I personally feel that opening up of the Indian economy is actually good for India, because then our economy will be competitive. Then our exporters will be.
We are too much protectionist.
Yes, we are a bit too protectionist. So I think a little bit of opening, calibrated opening in sectors in which mass employment is not at stake, I think would be useful. And third, and most importantly, we need to continue to leverage our value to the United States. We are the only strategic counterfoil to China, number one. We are the largest consumer market, one of the world's largest consumer market. Many tech companies of the United States, their biggest market is India now, even bigger than America. And thirdly, we are the best partner for the United States in sectors such as technology and defense.
But when we say that India is counterweight to China, they are not even considering China as a rival now. They are dealing, or is it also temporary?
No, I think this is also temporary right now, because you see, you have to understand, the US economy is very heavily dependent on the Chinese economy. I am told that 80% of the US pharmaceutical companies, their APIs come from China. Then if you look at American companies like Tesla, Nvidia, all these companies, they are heavily, their supply chains are, and Apple, their supply chains are completely dependent on China. Because a large part of the iPhone production happens in China. For Tesla, the second biggest market after America is China. AMD also, now they are selling chips to China, and China is buying all those chips. So the US is very heavily dependent on China. And thirdly, most importantly, China controls 85% of the world's rare earths. And these rare earths, these are the critical minerals that are needed for everything, from artificial intelligence to washing machines to missiles to electric vehicles. So that is why China has much more leverage over America, and Trump acknowledges that leverage, and that's why he's playing safe with China. As you know, they have extended the imposition of tariffs by another 90 days now.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Vikas ji. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.